Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit pretentious here. Okay. Um, Now, people always, and this is a very serious thing. This is actually a really important topic. This is something that changed the course of my life and took my mental and kind of straightened out and helped me a lot. It kind of took my mental of like out of like a depression. That might be a little overstating it, but you'll see what I'm saying as far as like business goes. People always say this book changed my life, and here's where I'm going to be pretentious. I read a ton. Like I read a ton, and I think, and it's something that's helped me a lot over the years. And it's also I read even stuff that's educational. I read somehow, some way. I found just pure joy and relaxation out of reading. So I will read anything, and it's relaxing to me. Okay, um, so whatever. So anyway, so my pretensions thing, and I shouldn't be like this, but I am when it comes to books. Um, Mostly I'm like, hey, if people are reading, I think that's a good thing. But where I could be pretentious is when people say, "Oh, this book changed my life," and it's like a book that is lame or like everyone read. Like for example, people say, "Oh, I can't even think of a book. Like some dumb book by I can't even think of throw in the comments. I don't know, like something that's like mainstream, everyone read, and it's a stupid book. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. Maybe like by like Mitch Album or something, or like the 50 Laws of Power. It's like whatever. Okay. So, anyways, one book that really genuinely changed my life. It's called, and I know you've never heard of it. It's called Rush, and I can't think of the author's name. And I can put in I can put in the comments or I can put in the description. But what this book was about, this book was about, and the author even talked about he originally wrote it because he was going to write about that it's better to live a life of luxury and relaxation than it is to work your whole life. And it ended up through his research, it turned out the opposite, is that people are better off working a lot and working late into their life and staying busy as opposed to being idle. And the reason it changed my life is because about 10 years ago, I found myself working all the time. And, I found myself, 10 years ago, I had little kids. And, well, I still have little kids. But at the time, my older kids were little kids. And now I have more kids. But at the time, I had little kids. I had no money. I had a business, and I had no outside support. And I know a lot of people don't, but I also know a lot of people do. A lot of people get help from relatives and inheritances and family members help out with money and connections, and I didn't have any of that. And I started seeing people around me having that. And so here I was, in my mid 30s, and it kind of started getting to me a little bit where I'm like, I found myself working long hours, where I'd work at, I started at 9 o'clock and I worked till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I'm trying to build my business. And I would find myself almost like while I'm working these long hours, think of these other people who had it so much easier. And then I got to the realization that I'll never be able to retire. And it kind of hit me. And then I somehow stumbled upon this book, and essentially it said that people who are idle die sooner. They're unhealthier. Their mental is worse. So that even the rich people, the people that you see like on the Forbes 400, guys who are in their 70s and 80s, they're billionaires and they're still working. That's what you want to do. And I mean, I'm summing up a 300-page book in like a few minutes. But for me, that was a game changer because that changed my mental. That straightened me out mentally because I was really having a hard time. Almost like I was like out of the club. Like everyone else was having this great time. Everyone else was living these great lives. Getting help from other people. Getting money and here I was had to do all on my own. And not only did I start from zero, I started from less than zero. I started behind. So I started in debt when I started. So what it talked about in this book is that no, that's how it. You need to be working. You should be working. And something that I read about the same time. I read in the New York Times, and I can't remember the author who said this. I think it was an op-ed, and she said, and I like I said, I can't think of who it was to credit her for this, but she said we're all winging it, and that was a huge thing for me. Those two things about the same around the same time were big for me because again, I thought everyone had things planned out. I thought everyone had this huge game plan, and then you start realizing that most people are just winging it. And even people with like a plan, excuse me, my allergies are kind of roughing me up a little bit. Even people who have a plan and people who have direction still are winging it every day. It's not like every day some like you know um thought out, planned out idea. So my point is the more we could plan, the more we could have foresight, the more we could um, have goals and ambitions, the better off we are because most people don't. And just going back real quick, why work's better than vacation. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take vacations because I think you should. But this idea that, social media has really messed with a lot of people because every time you look on social media, you see two things. Number one, you can find someone on vacation, okay? And number two, you can, people put the life out there that they want as if they're just doing their best life and making the best decisions and doing everything perfectly and their job's perfect, everything's perfect, and that's the story they want to put to you. But the reality is that's not life, that's not real life. And again, you should be working hard. It's better for your health. It's better for your mental health. Think about this. Let's wrap this up in this. Think about the days where, and not a day where you're on vacation, but like let's say a day you're working, you're at work, or you're in your business, whatever it is. But it's just a day you're off, and you don't get much done. You don't do much. You just get through the day. How do you feel at the end of the day? You feel like shit. You feel like absolute crap. And then you want to go home, you just want to go to bed and be done with it. Think about the day where you get a ton done, you work hard, and then you get off work and you're like, I'm gonna get a little bit more done, and maybe I'm gonna go to the gym. The work fuels you. The work fuels you, and that's what you should be doing.